So first of all, before coming to the .NET web application full stack development, come to the .NET. What about .NET is? .NET is a framework, okay? And .NET is a framework. Okay, so which was developed by Microsoft. Which was developed by Microsoft. For using create web applications. Create web applications. Okay, so coming to the point, before this, what is this web application? Okay, so the very important question is what is web application? And before that, what is the web actually? And before that, what are the different kind of applications? Different kind of software applications which are going to be available in the market. So we try to understand the basic thing, different kind of software applications. What are the different kind of software applications which are going to be available in the market? The first very important application is web application. This is already we know. The application which is going to be running through the browser, that is called web application. An application which is going to be running through the browser on top of the internet, that is called web application. And one more kind of applications are desktop applications. Okay, so desktop applications are there, web applications are there. At the same time, mobile applications are there. Mobile applications. Mobile applications, something like apps, mobile apps, which are going to be installed by Android operating system or iOS operating system. And one more kind of application is something like ERP applications, Enterprise Resource Planet applications, some kind of ERP application, and some kind of gaming applications. Nowadays, gaming applications also very, very famous. And one more kind of application is artificial intelligence applications. Artificial intelligence applications. And one more kind of applications are blockchain applications. Blockchain applications. And one more kind of applications are IoT applications. So nowadays, the current trend is IoT applications. And one more kind of applications are AutoCAD 2D, 3D, AutoCAD 2D, 3D applications. Okay, so these are the different kind of applications which are going to be available in the industry, software industry. But our main target is web applications. Now we are trying to entering into the web applications part. So to develop these web applications, if you want to implement, if you want to create end-to-end web application, we will be having two kind of terminologies. We will be having two kind of technologies we need to get understand. One is the front end, one is the back end. Okay, so one is the front end, one is the back end. So let me tell you, combination of this particular front end and back end is completely combination of front end and back end is going to be completely web application full stack, or you can call like a full stack. Okay, combination of this front end and back end is called full stack. Now try to understand what are the different kind of front end technologies which are available in the market, and what are the different kind of back end technologies which are going to be available in the market. Okay, so let me go to that. Front end technologies. So where is the front end? Where is the back end which are going to be available in the application? So let me tell you one simple example. I am taking a simple Amazon application. Let me take one simple Amazon application. Okay, so I just want to start one simple Amazon application, Amazon.in. Okay, this is a website, Amazon website. For this Amazon website, so there are a lot of images I can able to see here, and one search box I can able to see here, and one logo I can able to see here, and multiple buttons we can able to see here, and different other icons we can able to see here, and lot of images and lot of content we can able to see here. So user can able to watch or user can able to interact. See, user can able to interact means, for example, here in the search box, I can search for laptops. I can search for laptops and I can able to click on the search button and I can able to receive different laptops images here. I can able to receive different laptop images here. So how this data is coming? Whenever I'm searching for laptops, how that much data is coming. So here you can see thousands or lakhs of products you can able to see. Lakhs of laptop images or laptop products you can able to see. So this Amazon is a bigger shop actually. High level online shop. Amazon is high level online platform and shopping application which are going to be having nearby 80,000 plus products. 80,000 plus products in the one shop. Physically it is not possible, but virtually this is possible through the Amazon. Virtually, yes. If you want to, if you want to search for any kind of any category of product, you can able to search here. So that much data, huge data, which is going to be stored by the Amazon servers. Okay. So end of the day, so I'm talking about the front end part. This is called front end. User can able to interact with the browser. And for example, if I want to search for only Samsung laptops, I can choose only Samsung. If I search the keyword for Samsung, if I choose the keyword for Samsung, only Samsung. All Samsung related laptops only I can able to see. See how this web page is giving the response based on your request. Sure, here the concept is very simple. Request and response. The concept is very simple. Request and response. And by this response, you are getting a lot of data. How this data is coming and who is giving this data, that is what actually called backend part. Front end is very simple. Front end is user interface. Front end is user interface. And front end is what is this meaning of UI? Front end, there is another word called front end, that is UI. What is this UI means? UI means user interface and user interacted with or user interacted. User interacted. So user interface, user interacted with, that is actually UI part. And backend part, okay, for this UI, there are multiple technologies you have to learn. Something like HTML, you have to learn. Something like CSS, you have to learn. Something like JavaScript programming, you have to learn. And there are some different JavaScript frameworks which are going to be available, like jQuery is there, and React is there, and Bootstrap is there, and Angular is there, and Vue.js is there, something like. So there are multiple other kind of JavaScript frameworks also which are going to be available in the market. On top of the JavaScript, there are multiple other libraries also available. Not only JavaScript, on top of JavaScript, jQuery is the flavor of JavaScript, React is the flavor of JavaScript, and Bootstrap is the flavor of JavaScript, and Angular is the flavor of JavaScript. So like this, there are multiple libraries which are going to be related to the front end part. But HTML and CSS is very simple. HTML is just for design purpose. Design the web page HTML, and CSS basically using for styling purpose. Styling something like what is the color I want, what is the space I want, what is the background color I want, what is the font style I want. So those kind of beautiness you can able to provide using with the CSS. HTML is just like a dummy content. HTML, whatever the HTML content is there, that's something like tags. Okay, HTML is basically skeleton for the web page. You can call like a skeleton for the web page. Skeleton for the web page. Okay. On top of the skeleton, you are going to be giving some styling. You are going to be giving some decorations. Okay. So there are multiple kind of colors, fonts, and spaces, margins. See all these things provided by the CSS. And JavaScript basically for functioning part, functioning web page. Functioning web page is JavaScript. Functioning web page means so I can able to search data. For example, user searching, user searching from inbox, And after searching, after entering the data, you are clicking on search button, clicking on search button, clicking on search button also JavaScript. That click process is JavaScript. When you click on the search button, sending request, sending request also JavaScript. And when you are sending the request, getting response also JavaScript. See, these kind of functional part which are going to be on top of the JavaScript. These kind of functional part, JavaScript is going to be taking the major picture for the front end. Okay, so this is the okay. Front end part is okay. But then what about the backend? What about the data? How the data is coming? Where is the data is available? Okay, so this backend is basically combination of two things. Combination of server side and databases. Server side and databases. Backend is combination of server side and database. For example, there are multiple kind of backends which are going to be available. The first backend I'm telling now. The first backend which is very famous like PHP. Okay, for PHP, there are multiple kind of backends. You can use MySQL for PHP, or you can use MongoDB. Okay, MongoDB also you can use for backend. And one more backend. There is a one more backend, something like Java backend. Java backend is there. So Java backend with Oracle database is Oracle, or you can connect with any other kind of databases also. And the third backend, some server side backend is .NET. Yeah. So now today, why .NET is basically require all these things we will see. But before entering into the .NET, where .NET is basically available for the web application, we have to understand. So that is the why reason I'm telling all these things. Okay, so for this SQL Server, basically SQL Server is a database which was from Microsoft. This is developed by Microsoft. Even .NET also developed by Microsoft. These two products, .NET product and SQL Server product, .NET is a framework and SQL Server is a database. Okay, these two products done or developed by the Microsoft. We are going with the Microsoft products to develop the complete end-to-end web application. The backend part, not front-end part. Front-end is completely different. Front-end story is completely different. Now I'm talking about the backend part. Okay, the fourth one, very important one, that is one thing called Python. So nowadays Python is very famous. And using with Python also, inside the Python, there are multiple different kind of frameworks which are going to be available. One is a Django, one is a Flask kind of thing. And using with the Django, even Django also support with MySQL, or Django also support with MongoDB. And even Flask also support with MySQL. And Flask also support with MongoDB kind of things. Okay. And one more important and famous nowadays, that is Node.js, JavaScript related backend part. Node.js with Express.js. Node.js with Express.js plus database. Again, database. You can use MySQL, you can use MongoDB. Yeah. And like this, there are multiple backend parts which are going to be available. Backend technical skills which are going to be available. But today our course is completely simply thing. What we are trying to doing now is, let me go, going with the paint. Okay. So here, the thing is, this is the front end part, and somewhere, okay, let me show one thing. So this is your browser, for example. This is your desktop. From this desktop, you are sending one request to the server, and somewhere you will be having the database. Somewhere you will be having the database. Okay. Just give me 1 second. This is the database. Okay. Okay. Application is kind of Amazon. Okay, let me treat application is Amazon. Let me treat application is Amazon. Okay. I'm just using Amazon application. Just imagine that. So from Amazon application, I am sending a request. I am searching for something. I am searching for something from Amazon. If you are searching for something from Amazon, it is sending the request to server. Okay, some web API. This is actually web API. There is some web API is going to be called here. Through this web API, some request. This is actually request web API. This is actually request web API. This request web API is calling now. Whenever the request web API is calling, the request is going to be sending to the server. So inside the server, So this is something like .NET server. For example, this is the .NET server. You are going to be sending a request to the .NET server. .NET server processing your request and sending that particular request to the database. For example, here my database is SQL Server database. Okay, my database is SQL Server. For example, in SQL Server, you are going to be maintaining the data using with the table structures. Okay, in SQL Server, you are going to be maintaining the data using by the tables and all. And whatever the request you are going to be sending here, for example, I'm sending a request like I'm searching for laptops. Your request API is going to be taking the data is laptops. Okay, your request API is going to be carrying the data for laptops. Laptops is the searching keyword, and through this web API is actually carrying your request and sending to the server. Server processing your request and sending to the database. And whatever the laptops which are going to be available in the SQL server or in the database, those particular number of laptops again sending to the server. And now server creates one response API. Now server creates one response API. So now if the data is available, so there are multiple validations you have to check with the API. So if the data is available, some positive response is coming from the SQL server to the .NET server. From .NET server, again, the data is coming back to the client. Okay, now this is actually called response API. This time it is actually called, again, this is web API. Again, this is web API, but this time this API is called response API. Previously, we are giving one API. Previously, we are working with one API that is actually request API. And now we are actually working with the response API. Okay, n number of laptops. With this response API, some data will come. This response API is getting some data, okay, some JSON format. This response API is going to be getting the data with JSON format. There is a format called JSON. Later we will discuss about this. This response API is getting the data in the form of JSON. And here JavaScript is available now. In the front end, some JavaScript is available now. That JavaScript is converting your JS. Okay, so here JavaScript is available, right? So here in this client side, what is happening? Here client side, what is happening? Client side, JSON converts to JS. And JS placing the data on top of the HTML. So this much process is going to be happening with the client side. In the client side system, some process is going to be happening to getting the data. Whatever the data which is going to be getting, that is the JSON data. JSON data is the response. JSON data, first of all, converting into the client-side programming. Client-side programming is something like a JavaScript here. We already know client-side programming is JavaScript. Okay, what JavaScript can do? JavaScript is placing the data on top of the HTML. And finally, data is visualized. Finally, data is visualizing. Can you see this, Amazon? Data is visualizing or not? If I am asking about the laptops, data is visualizing. If I am asking about the mobiles, different mobiles are coming. But this data is the JSON data. You don't know this data is what kind of data, what format of the data. You are actually watching HTML content. You are watching only HTML content. If you don't believe me, I will go right click on the web page. I'll click on the view page source. View page source. This page source is only HTML content. This page source is only HTML content. End of the day, your web page is HTML. Whatever the things user can able to see, whatever the things user can able to watch, that is just HTML. Just HTML. Finally, end of the day, I can able to see all my data in the form of HTML. In the form of HTML.